Good evening, Hofstra fans, and welcome to a belated Spooky Sports Beat. I'm your host, Post Malone, Max Sacco, and we've got a terrifying episode for you tonight. We'll be talking about men's basketball, women's basketball, and women's rugby. We've got something extra special for you tonight. We're going to be talking to Lou Ecumano live from the Mac Arena during the men's basketball game. So Hofstra fans, put on your costumes and eat what candy you might have left over, because Spooky Sports Beat starts right now. Before we get started, we have Juliana Battaglia in studio with the Week in Review.
Thanks, Max. Here's your Week in Review. Let's start with the men's golf team, who placed 8 of 16 at the Metropolitan Intercollegiate Championship last Monday. Junior Alec Aronson was the top performer for the Pride, finishing 14th out of 85 golfers. And now over to the soccer teams. The men's team clinched the number 3 seed as they blanked Northeastern on Saturday 3-0. Matthew Vowinkle scored all 3 goals in the game for the Pride. And the women's soccer team also had a big weekend as they took down Milan in the CAA semifinal by a score of 3-1 to advance to the CAA final for their 3rd straight year. The men's and women's cross-country teams competed in the CAA championship in Harrisburg over the weekend. Senior Alex Masai shined for the men as he recorded the 2nd best 8K time in conference history and captured his 2nd consecutive CAA cross-country championship. And as for the women's team, freshman Jordan McDonald placed 19th to lead her team for the 3rd time this season. The field hockey team topped Northeastern in overtime on Sunday by a score of 4-3. Sophomore Cami Larson was the hero in this one, scoring her 2nd goal of the game just a couple minutes into overtime to give the Pride the win. And to wrap it up, the wrestling team kicked off their season at the Princeton Open on Sunday. Junior Ricky Stam won his weight class, and junior Sage Heller and sophomore Zachary Knight and Ward placed 2nd in their respective weight classes. Well, this has been your Week in Review. I'm Juliana Battaglia. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Juliana. I'm joined here by the wonderful David Lazar and the talented Julia Presti. We're going to get things started with men's basketball. So, men's basketball, the team everyone loved to watch last season. The 16-game win streak, the run to the NIT, North Carolina State, all the fairy tale stuff you could cram into one season, they essentially did. And Justyn ends up getting drafted, a great way for the hero of that team to go out. But Justyn's gone now for this men's team. Who needs to step up?
Justin Wright-Foreman was the hero last year. This season, it needs to be Eli Pemberton. He is the type of player that can lead a team just like Justyn was. He averaged 15 points per game last season, and in my opinion, he's the type of guy that can bring Hofstra back to glory. Can he average 15 points again? Hopefully, because Justin Wright-Foreman is gone and the Pride need it.
Yeah, I agree. Justin Wright-Foreman was a big part of the team. I mean, he was somebody that everybody went to, but my person's going to be Jashore Bowie. He's somebody that defensively had everybody's back. The steals, he averaged over 2.5 steals a game. He needs to keep that up, but also get his assists up a lot higher and continue with that. So if he keeps the pace that he had last year in his breakout year, I see this season for him being his best season.
I agree with both of you, but I think it has to be a combo of the two of them. If we want to have an effective team, we no longer can have that big one-man rotation. It's got to rotate between the two guys. And if DeJour and Eli can work together, we can have a great season ahead of us. And, speaking of the team as a whole, we obviously have some new faces this year, some new recruits coming to the team as well. Really a whole new face to this Hofstra men's basketball team. Do you see this team making another run like they did last year to the CAA finals? I know they were picked to go first overall, picked by 3 votes over Charleston, but do you think it could happen again?
I think it can. I'm not going to guarantee a conference championship and a trip to the NCAA tournament, but big things are ahead. I think the Pride are going to have a strong enough regular season to give themselves an opportunity to contend come tournament time. I don't know what's going to happen, but if they have a strong enough depth piece that can step up and emerge and complement Eli Pemberton, the Pride can make some magic happen come tournament time. Charleston's going to be a huge X factor. So is Northeastern. They are big teams to beat, but Hofstra has a good season ahead.
I agree with David. There's nothing guaranteed when you come to this season, especially an NCAA tournament. I think they have to set their hopes on, let's get back to the CAA tournament, maybe 4th place, 5th place. You know, I don't have my hopes up there because they're rebuilding. This season is how you're going to build off of Justyn Wright-Foreman not being here. So I think if you have Pemberton, you have Bowie, and you have a couple other guys in the back and step up, and your bench coming off and putting up big points off the bench, that's where you're going to have to go. So I can see them going to the quarterfinals, semifinals, but an NCAA tournament is not guaranteed. We saw it last season.
I'm going to guarantee an NCAA berth.
Of course.
I think this is a classic example of subtraction means addition. You saw it with the Nationals this year. You've seen it before in basketball. When you lose your star, sometimes everyone else steps up and you get even bigger awards than you thought you'd get the first time. So I think there's an NCAA trip waiting for this team at the end of the season. But speaking of men's basketball, we have one of our reporters, Lou Ecumano, live from the MAC Sports Complex.
Guys, it is a sold-out show here at the MAC Arena. The energy here, it's electrifying. Everyone got these free shirts as soon as they walked through the building. First 300 people got these shirts, and currently the Pride are up by 3 against San Jose State. What can't you be more happy, excited to see than the Hofstra Pride play some men's basketball?
Who has stepped up so far during this game?
So far, it looks like Eli Pemberton is stepping up during this game as he has scored 15 points during the first half, and it looks like he will be the key player for the season ahead in the absence of Justyn Wright-Foreman, who was drafted in the NBA offseason to the Utah Jazz.
Do you have any concerns or reservations about the team so far?
So far, defensively, the team isn't stepping up to what my expectations were. Their tallest player in Isaac Conte is 6'7". I'm 6 foot, so the rim protection is a little bit low this season. They're playing in a 2-3 zone when I believe they should be playing man. So offensively, they have to step up as well so they can catch up to other teams.
Where has the team looked the strongest, offense or defense?
Offensively, this team looks pretty stacked. They have shooters inside and out, and they're going to keep pounding the ball inside for Isaac Conte, kicking it right out to Eli Pemberton, and they're just going to keep putting points up the whole entire night against San Jose, and it will be pretty close if they keep playing this well offensively.
Lou, what's your prediction for the rest of this game and for the season ahead for our men's basketball team?
Right now, it's a close game as the Pride are only up by 3. Eli Pemberton is doing all that he can for this game and his team. The rest of the team has to step up, and DeJour Bowie, Isaac Conte for offensive rebounds, defensive plays. And for the season ahead, I believe Eli Pemberton is the man to be the leader for this team, for the Hofstra Pride men's basketball team.
Thanks so much, Lou. We'll check back with you later in the show. Enjoy the rest of the game, and get me a t-shirt while you're there. They look nice. We're going to take a quick break, but don't be scared. Sports Beat will be right back.
Your son wants to get a cat, but you're allergic. Do you A, prepare yourself, B, make the best of it,
C squared equals
25.
Good job.
or C, find a loophole? When it comes to parenting, there are no perfect answers, but that's okay, because you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Welcome back, Ghost and Ghouls. Again, I'm joined by David Lazar and Julia Presti. Let's talk a little bit about the women's basketball team now, a team that was really the polar opposite of the men's team. They finished in 9th out of 10 in their conference, but they were able to get the stunning upset win above JMU, really shocked the whole CAA world. Has this team had any big changes in the offseason where you think they could finish above their projected ranking of 10th, or is this looking like a year where maybe they need to take a step back, take a bad lick, but then next year they'll have the big step up?
Florida State, University of Kentucky, University of Pittsburgh. What do those 3 schools have in common? That is where Danielle Santos-Atkinson is coached. Those are 3 really impressive universities. She is bringing experience, and I think that will follow through. The Pride were ranked 10th in the preseason CAA poll. That's going to light a fuel under their fire. I think that's going to really, really give them the motivation needed to have a good season. They got some big wins last year. They had some big losses too, but they are going to be better than 10th. They are going to have a good season. It's not going to be top 3, top 5, but they're going to contend this year in the CAA.
I agree again with David. I mean, they're going to contend, but the biggest factor is Danielle Santos-Atkinson. She started her coaching career here at Hofstra. Now she comes full circle to be the head coach for this team. They really need it. They only lost 2 players last year, so there's not a lot of turnover in the locker room. You still bring back people like Honor Hernandez-Hilo, Sandra Karsten, Marianne Collins. So, you have those players that you need to step up. And I think if they're going to start running the game that Danielle has and the game plan that she has and everything, this team can be a force to be reckoned with. And like David said, it's going to light a fire under their butts so that they can continue coming up big. And I can see them taking a couple of games that no one expected them to win.
Now, you each explained pretty well just how important Santos-Atkinson is going to be for this team going forward. But let me throw this question to you. She's obviously really helped with the program she went to, built up a couple of those programs. I mean, Pittsburgh's women's teams used to be, one of those bottom feeders, and now they've become an ACC powerhouse, really. With Santos here and with the team she has around her, do you think it's enough to finish 7th or higher by the end of the season? 7th, not 8th,
That's
7th.
one of those odds where it's 50-50. 7th is tough. I think they're going to be right around 7. I think 8 or 9 is in the calling, but here's what's going to happen with the Pride. I think they're better than last place. They are looking at the teams around them in the conference and saying, we're better than some of these teams. I'm hoping that they don't come in last. I think that they won't. 7th or 8th is around there. I'm going to have to take the under. I think they're going to finish in 8th or 9th, but they're not going to finish in last. That's the prediction.
I'm going to disagree here. I'm going to say they're going to get 7th. Not higher than 7th, 7th.
On the nose.
On the nose, right on the dot. 7th place, because I think if they can stay healthy, that's going to be their key. Last year they had a couple of key players who went down with some injuries or out for part of the season. So if they can stay healthy, run their game plan, and forget about everybody else, that's where I think they're going to shine. So I can see them 7th. Not higher, not lower, 7th on the dot.
Well, being Mr. Positivity that I am, I'm going to take the higher here. I think they're going to go higher, but 6th. I think 6th is the ceiling this season. I think, like Julia said, if the team stays healthy, I think if everyone clicks, and I think Santos is really going to work them into shape where they're going to have to finish higher than last, which I think they will do easily, but I think that 6th is achievable for this team. I think they have the fire in their bellies. I think they have the players they need around them, and I think they can get that 6th place finish this season with no problem at all. Now, very brief question to wrap it up here. Just quick answer. Who is the player that needs to be the leader in the locker room?
Marianne Collin. I think that she's more of a presence down low. 45% shooting percentage last year. That's impressive. That can carry a team. Blocks, rebounds, those are the intangibles that the Pride need to restore. They didn't have it last season. She will step up this year.
I'm going to go quick answer. Anna Hernandez-Hill. That's who it's going to be. That's who needs to step up.
Also quick answer, Anna Hernandez-Hill. Easy answer right there. Hold on to your broomsticks, because we're flying into another installment of Joe Versus. This time, Joe Ryder battles it out with the Women's Club Rugby team.
Welcome back, guys, to yet another Joe Versus. Now, this week, this episode, I'm going for not only my most ambitious sport yet, because it's my second sport, but I am probably going for one of the most physical sports you could go for. Rugby. And I am here with Steph Squatch Ogman, one of the co-captains of the team. Thank you so much for being with me. I really do appreciate taking the time out. You guys are technically a club, correct?
Yeah.
Would you say you're a physical team? Would you say that you guys are more on like the running and logistical side of the sport? What would you say you guys?
I mean, rugby, there's a lot of different parts to it, but the biggest thing is just playing together. The whole thing with rugby is one person can't score all the points. They can't run the whole game. Everybody's got to kind of be playing as one cohesive unit. And I mean, you always have to be there for your teammates, supporting them, and that's how you win games.
So you guys acting as one big family, right?
Yeah.
So off the field, I'm gonna guess you guys are the same way. We're all like always talking. We're always looking forward to the next practice or the next game or.
Yeah. We want to be a family on and off the field, always having each other's back on and off the fields.
So I'm so happy we got to talk about this. Now we're gonna see how I stack up to the Hofstra Women's Rugby. You guys have an official name, or is it just Hofstra Women's Rugby?
Yeah, well, it's HUWRFC, Hofstra University Women's Rugby Football Club.
All right, guys, so now we are here with Emma Cheeto Husk. So now you're gonna teach me how to do a drop kick.
Well, first we have our ball.
Okay.
For the most important part, I guess, kicking.
Okay.
What you want to do is your stance. You want to be a little bit over, so you give yourself some room.
Okay.
You're gonna look as you drop the ball with 2 hands, I got yelled at by my captain, 2 hands, you're going to wait and kick right as it touches the ground.
Okay. So now we're here with the other co-captain, Samantha Dickey. Samantha, right? Right? She's going to explain to us now a scrum, how it works, and then we're going to try one out.
So you have usually 8 people per team in a scrum, but here we only have 3. Our front rows, you have 2 props supporting your hooker in the middle. And your hooker in the middle is going to hook back the ball when the ball is placed inside the scrum. So your props bind on to your hookers.
Right, so I have to grab down here. I grab here, okay.
And then your hooker grabs onto your props. And the cadence is crouch, bind, set.
Oh, it's out.
I got it. Kept it in.
Watch. Hopefully we get to do this again, guys. Thank you so much. Max, or whoever's hosting, it's a rotating cast. Guys, back to you in the studio. I'm gonna go steal this ball and try to run with it.
Thanks again for that, Joe, and I hope you got away from there. It looked like you were getting hightailed a bit, but Julia, David, I'm going to start with Julia here. Any experience with rugby at all?
Absolutely not, but I've experienced hitting some people. Want to
right,
go?
so
Let's go on the ice right now.
I'm ready. I don't mean to brag, but I think I'd win on this one.
No, I'm definitely going to beat you. Come on.
We'll talk about that another
Yeah.
day. But David,
Out in the
any
hallway. Let's go.
We'll see one day. We'll see. David, any experience with you playing rugby?
I take you back to Round Valley, 6th grade. Me and my friends started a rugby team. It was called RVS. We formed this team. We played at recess. We had a fight with another team. It was a league. It was the highlight of my life. It was the most fun thing I've done in the middle intermediate schools. I wish I could go back, but yes, I do have ample experience in the sport of rugby.
Now, what did you play there, though?
I got a rugby ball for Hanukkah, and I played a position. I don't remember which one, but it was one of them, and there was a goal, not a goalie. I don't know. We played
All right,
positions.
David, I'm going to back this up another time. Where are you from?
I am from rural New Jersey.
And I think that answers everyone's
Yes,
questions.
that does answer.
Well, when we come back, we'll have some frightening FaceTimes featuring our petrified panelists.
Oh, boy.
Don't go anywhere.
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Before we get to our haunted FaceTimes, we have Juliana Battaglia with the week ahead.
Thanks, Max. Here's the week ahead. The men's tennis team will be in Maryland this weekend to play in the U.S. Naval Academy Invitational. And the men's soccer team has their quarterfinal matchup against James Madison this Friday. The women's soccer team will also face James Madison on Saturday in their CAA championship game. The volleyball team will be on the road this weekend to face UNC Wilmington on Saturday and then head to Charleston on Monday. And fresh into their season, the men's basketball team will host Monmouth on Saturday afternoon and then face Bucknell next Wednesday. And as for the women's basketball team, they'll be heading to Connecticut on Sunday to take on Sacred Heart and return to host Stony Brook on Wednesday. And finally, the wrestling team will be competing in the Journeyman My House Collegiate Classic on Sunday. Well, this has been your week ahead. I'm Juliana Battaglia. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Juliana. And now for our spooky installment of FaceTimes. Take it away, Julia.
As of November 3rd, the Boston Bruins sit atop the Atlantic Division with a record of 10-1-2 so far this season. To no surprise, the Bruins' top line is generating most of their points. Right now, the top line that consists of David Pastrnak, Brad Marchand, and Patrice Bergeron have combined for 64 points so far in their first 13 games. Pastrnak leads the entire league with 27 points and 13 goals. He's over the league average by 5 points so far, and the league average of goals is 1.9. Pastrnak is way over the league average in both of these categories. Brad Marchand leads the league in plus-minus with +11, but he's tied with 5 other players for that category. You can't overlook Torrey Krug, who as a defenseman has 10 points so far, leading all defensemen on the Bruins. The Bruins get a lot of help from all over on the ice, including Long Island native Charlie McAvoy, and the captain Zdeno Chara as he anchors the defense for the Bruins. Over to goaltending, Tuukka Rask has been the anchor for this team as starting goalie since 2012. And this season, he has the fewest goals allowed in the entire league with 1.49. He also leads in save percentage at 1.9 and 49 when the league average is just above 900. Rask is also tied with 2 shutouts and is 3 shy of a career high of 50 shutouts. The Bruins are the second team in the NHL in points at 22, only behind the Washington Capitals, who have 25 so far this season, but have only played 3 more games than the Bruins. Let's look around the league at how the Bruins stack up. On their matchups, they are leading in special teams, number 1 in the power play at 32.6%, 7th on the penalty kill at 85.7%, and
we love underdogs. As humans, it is built in our nature to root for the little guy. And in sports, this could not be more true. We want the powerhouses to fall. We want people to defy all odds and end up on top. Sometimes everything comes together and the perfect narrative is written. This year in baseball, the Washington Nationals made history. The Nationals were 19-31 early into their season, but they did not give up. After a 74-38 run, they found themselves in the postseason with eyes on the ultimate goal. Down 3-1 in the wild card game, rookie phenom Juan Soto set his team partying with a clutch go-ahead hit. In the next round, the Nationals needed 2 victories to defeat the favored Dodgers, and they did not disappoint. They upset the best team in the National League in monumental fashion, continuing their sensational run. After sweeping the St. Louis Cardinals, the Nationals found themselves in the World Series. Facing elimination, the Nats battled off 2 victories and sent the league-best Astros home packing. Fairness is an intrinsically human value, and it just seemed fair that the Nationals finally earned a championship. It took 50 years, but following all the hardship, the Nationals franchise is on top. Our nation's pastime is all the rave in our nation's capital, ending decades of hardship and suffering. No matter what team you root for, you can't help but be happy for Washington. A team defined by suffering ended up on top in true David versus Goliath fashion. They brought eternal glory back to the capital. So next time you find yourself starting to root for an underdog, take a pause. It is okay. There is nothing wrong with feeling happy for cities and fan bases fulfilling their long-lost dreams.
Hockey season has been in full swing, but people forget that while hockey takes time off for Christmas and Thanksgiving, they never stop for Halloween. NHL games on Halloween have been a staple of the league for a whole, but the games still never cease to put on a show. Just look at this year, for example. The Calgary Flames overcame a 4-goal deficit to win 6-5, and the Montreal Canadiens did the same to beat the Vegas Golden Knights 5-4. Last year's Halloween game was a matinee game between the Vancouver Canucks and the Chicago Blackhawks, which ended up with the heavily favored Blackhawks losing to the Vancouver Canucks 4-2 in British Columbia. But before all the fireworks of the last few years, the history of the NHL games on Halloween trailed back to the 1942-43 season. The league champion that year would be the Detroit Red Wings. The Vezina Trophy would be awarded to Red Wings goalie John Mowers, and the average NHL ticket price was below $5. That evening, the Boston Bruins would travel to face the Montreal Canadiens, along with the New York Rangers heading up to Toronto to face the Maple Leafs. The Bruins would lose a close 3-2 game in Montreal, while at the same time in Toronto, the Maple Leafs would put 7 goals past the Rangers en route to a 7-2 win in one of the 3 highest scoring games that season. These two games began the tradition of the NHL games being held on Halloween. While the tradition may have died during the 1950s, it made its triumphant return in the 1960s and has remained around the league ever since. Almost every team has played on Halloween games and have produced some star-studded amazing games ever since those first 2 games in the 1942-43 season. Well, a wide array. It seems like you have a hockey-heavy favored one here, and then obviously a little baseball with David. We'll address hockey first. Julia, I can name 3 better teams than your Boston Bruins.
Really, which ones? Because your Blackhawks aren't one of them.
Oh, I know they're not one of them.
Okay.
St. Louis Blues, Edmonton Oilers, Washington Capitals. David, please back me up on
No,
this.
no. Blues are not. They were last year, on their Gloria run. Okay, once. They won 1 championship. Big deal. Bruins are better statistically. Look at them this season. Look at them overall. This season they're leading. They have 3 of their top goal scorers. Now they're at over 70 points. Come on, Max. Find me somebody better with a better top line and a better power play than the Bruins have right now. I want to hear it. Who?
Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah, okay.
And one last time, let's check in with the Max Sports Complex with Lou Aquilina. Lou, how's the team doing?
Max, we have 3 players here that have scored in double figures: Eli Pepperton, DeJour Bowie, and Tariq Corbin. The Pride right now are in a timeout. It is 55-48 in the second half. Right now, the fans are waiting for the Pride to just continue pounding the ball inside and out and just to secure the victory. Eli Pepperton, like I said before, is doing all that he can to bring the Pride a win in opening night.
Do you think the Pride will come out on top tonight?
Absolutely, Max. Eli Pepperton, DeJour Bowie, and Isaac Conte. This is the team right now. Even without Justyn right form, this team can prove themselves. Joe Mahalik has a plan for this team. They're playing together as one. There is no isolation ball right now for this team. They have to learn how to play as a unit and just keep pounding the ball inside and out to secure these victories.
Well, it's certainly
Max, I'm going to step right out of frame just for a hot second to describe you what's going on. Right now, it looks like off an and 1 play for San Jose State. With 8 minutes, 28 seconds left to go, the score is 55-48 here in the second half. 55-50 off that and 1 play. The Pride defensively have struggled all game defensively on the interior. They just keep trying to run this 2-3 zone, but it is not working. In my opinion, they should be switching to man, but they are not. Joe Mahalik believes that this 2-3 zone is the best in the league, and honestly, right now it is working, but I don't know how long it will work for in the remainder of this game. Right now, as Eli Pepperton has the ball, it looks like the Pride will just keep holding on as they are only up 4 points remaining in the second half. Back to you, Max, in studio. Thanks for having me here, guys.
Thanks again, Lou. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for tonight's episode of Spooky Sports Beat. I want to say thank you to my panelists, the always talented David Lazar and the wonderful Julia Presti and the amazing Juliana Battaglia. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at HofstraSB. And tune in to our final episode on November 20th. Until then, I'm Max Sacco. Have a great night.